Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever. Today we're going to be having a look at the brand new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Trapjaw. Now these are from the new CGI series on Netflix, and I've been really excited to take a look at these guys with you. However, I'd had a really hard time finding Trapjaw and finally got one. Now anybody who's watched the CGI show knows that Skeletor and his cronies actually tap into the power of chaos for their very own style of transformations so that they can bulk out and power up just like He-Man and his crew. I think this is a great change, and we'll see if these figures are accurate representations of what they did in the show. Looking at the front of the packaging, it utilizes hilarious card artwork there from the show, a little bit on the bottom about his action feature, and on the back a few more demonstrations. Interestingly, Trapjaw definitely feels the chunkiest and the heaviest out of all of these new CGI figures that I've kind of handled. He definitely has that bulk that makes him feel like a classic Masters of the Universe figure, even if the design strays in some ways. As you can see, they've definitely done the most amount of revision to Trapjaw's actual head, opting for more of almost like a suction-based trash compactor. That's what I would compare his new mouth to. When he powers up in the show, when Cronus has the crazy weaponized jaw, I think that was kind of a neat design idea. Even if it's a little outrageous, it's a little out there. I definitely also like his one giant shoulder pad. Kind of reminds me of Snake Armor He-Man a little bit from the 2000X series. I also like that he has the cool jaw-themed belt. It almost looks like something from the Snake Men. The boots are also really epic, and they look very much like a steampunk sort of deal. He also boasts this huge kind of techie claw right here as his main weapon, and from the back all of these details are maintained. So I really like the look of this guy. There are some things, of course, that aren't painted, like these armor pieces right here on the back, and there's things like the knuckles, and there's a few little details up here and things, techie parts that aren't painted. But overall, I think the paint application is fairly good. At least they did do the more bright color for the jaw. It's strange that there's a little bit of inconsistency up here quality-wise, almost as if the paint got rubbed off or something during the process. But I kind of like this because, you know, he's supposed to have almost like this kind of rotted metal going on here. So I think it makes it look a little more gritty, actually. There's no paint on his arm or anything, but at least they have this cool purple bit right here. Visually, he's just really appealing. And interestingly, this is the figure I had the very hardest time getting a hold of, eventually having to wait until he was on offer on Amazon. And thankfully there, I only had to pay the $10 with the free shipping from Prime, so it worked out fairly well. Let's talk about his articulation. You can see that the head can go left and right, a little tiny bit of up and down, but not very much. You can see that just like He-Man and Skeletor, there are no hinges, but he doesn't have any inhibitions either about going all the way around on this arm. This is made out of just a rubber right here, okay? So it is able to be peeled back pretty well all the way. It turns out that, much to my surprise, I hadn't tried it yet, but yep, you can make it all the way around. So thanks to this being flexible, you can do it. It does start to look funny as it kind of floats over his head up here, but you can kind of work with it and get it tucked in to where it doesn't look so bad. So yeah, that's actually a good surprise. You can, like I said, you have to kind of mess with it as it goes there, but still, at least it's functional, and they designed it with that in mind. Also, an extra articulation point is you can turn this claw. Now, the figure comes with the claw unattached, and you have to plug it in, and it feels like it's not supposed to unplug again after you do that. So it feels more like a one-time assembly. Trust me, you'll want to assemble this, though, because if you don't, he just has a giant hole in his hand there. Right here, we have the same deal going on that He-Man Skeletor had, where you have kind of that snap-back kind of articulation in the waist and torso area. This actually feels stronger than the He-Man and Skeletor one, so I actually like that quite a bit, and it has a very satisfying kind of snap back to it. I will say that this is probably the one that was later in production that I have bought, because I bought it the most recently, so chances are they are improving that and causing these to get a lot kind of snappier as we go, so I like that. You can also do a slight bit of like split, but not very much. That's pretty well all you can do. Going back, nothing's really happening. That's as far back as you can go. Because there's no kind of cuts down here at the boots or the knees, it makes posing Trapjaw a little more tenuous than He-Man or Skeletor. As you can see, he likes to go forward, especially if you have this kind of missile projectile in there. If you kind of center it more toward to his center of gravity, it helps. And of course, then the projectile comes right out. So that helps a little bit. But as soon as you have this like extended as far as you can, it's a little harder because this claw is fairly heavy. Take this out and it helps a little bit, but he still likes to go forward. So it's just a little something to be aware of. You just have to kind of put that down to kind of center the gravity on the figure just a little bit, but it's not impossible to work with or anything. Also worth noting that he does have a cut right here at the wrist, just like He-Man and Skeletor. He does also come with this cool blast effect. It's not very transparent. It's kind of more made out of a sort of translucent looking pink plastic. But if you put it in here, it doesn't actually load with the spring or anything. And at first I thought, okay, what's going on? Because I thought there should be like a launcher functionality, but I couldn't find a button. Nope, it turns out what it wants you to do is just have it in there kind of loosely, and then use the diaphragm to, just like that. It just launches out using that action. So I'm glad that they're trying to utilize that action and using it for the action features like that. And it comes out pretty fast, especially if you're kind of got this at the right angle and you work it just right. So I actually really enjoy that. And I think it's cool that it's almost using that action feature to sling the missile, sling the projectile. And I think kids can have a lot of fun with that. For a scale comparison, you can see that He-Man and Trapjaw here are pretty close in scale. Of course, He-Man is slightly taller, just as he should be with his villains. And just for fun, here is a new version of Trapjaw alongside his Origins counterpart. I think they look interesting together, but there's definitely some big differences in the colors that were used. But you can definitely tell this is supposed to be more of a modern update of that original Trapjaw design, so it's just cool to see them side by side. I think that Skeletor and Trapjaw are both big winners. If you see either one of those, you really can't go wrong. They have that same amount of heft and the cool little action feature with their diaphragm joint, and they have some fun accessories, and I think kids would get a really big kick out of them. The best part about these guys using this kind of bulky body style and having that crazy snappy action feature is that, if you're taking these and you're having like a big toy fight, it's ridiculous what all you can do. Trapjaw is just, and then Skeletor gets up, "You bungling fool." That's a lot of fun. These guys all have a similar heft to them, and it feels very good just to hold the figures. I think a kid would definitely have fun with these. These are only $10 a pop, and for that price, I think they're a very good value. You get some cool accessories, you get some great sculpts, and some decent paint application to make these a pretty easy purchase. I definitely think Mattel should focus on these Power Attack figures moving forward. They seem to be the much better selling scale that I've seen and the much more appealing price point that I've seen. Although I did have to resort to online retailers for Trapjaw because he is incredibly hard to find, it seems. Alright friends, that'll do it for me. I sure do hope you've enjoyed the review today. Of course, be on the lookout because very soon I will be covering some of the other figures in the CGI He-Man series, so I really hope that you look forward to seeing that very soon. And as usual, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know not only what you think of these figures, but also what you think of this new CGI He-Man series. Are you enjoying it like I am and seeing it as kind of a gateway for young kids to get into He-Man? Or are you not really getting much out of it and would much prefer to see Masters of the Universe Revelation continue than the impending Season 2 of the CGI series, which was recently confirmed? Of course, be sure to watch my other He-Man videos as I have much more Masters of the Universe content right here on Fanboys Forever. As always, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out. Turns out that what it wants you to do is